All right. Now, this man here says that what I do is not content, that I am a hack, that, that I'm a failure at life, and it's debatable whether I should even breathe. His name is TheYamiks. He has been quoted as saying that I am a parasite. I don't know if he said that, but I would imagine he feels that way. But he has a video here that I find very interesting. By the way, can we boo him?
Boo! Boo! Boo!
Thank you, Pepe. I just needed to do that. Hey, great. But right. But I wanted to watch this if he'll let me. Yamiks, you may not let me. I understand. And just so you know, I will not monetize this just for you, because I am going to go along with your opinions of me and hate myself after this is done. I will go into the bathroom and yell at myself in the mirror for what an incompetent waste of life that I am. However, Yamiks does make good content, unlike me, who makes none. And what he's talking about here is Elite Dangerous. Now, we all know what I think of Elite Dangerous. We all know Frontier Development took the wrong path, focused on exploration, not so much on the danger. It's all elite, no danger. Hardcore commanders around the universe hate me for saying these things, but I've been saying them since Engineers. I have talked about the downfall and the errors of the ways of the developers. People get angry when I talk about Elite Dangerous like this. They think I'm taking sides and I'm a Star Citizen fanboy, and that's why I hate Elite Dangerous, but they don't know the history. They don't know that I started as a commander. They don't know that I was really all for Elite Dangerous, super fanboy of Elite Dangerous. But David Braben and the developers at Frontier went the wrong way for me, for my style of gameplay, and became all elite, no dangerous, and the game's dead. And there's a reason it's dead, because that lack of attention and focus on keeping danger in a game that's space-oriented drove people away. And all that's left are space truckers and people that like to mission grind. And that if that's your style of play, I'm not poo-pooing on it. But when the focus becomes 100% that, you lose a lot of people. Even though people will tell you, oh, PvPers are a very small minority of the player base, that's not necessarily true in MMOs. In classic sandbox MMOs, that I wouldn't say is always so true. But people have been conditioned to feel like that's the way it is ever since early 2000 and pop hit, and games got basically liquid into a Disney-fied Jello mold. Now let's watch. Let's watch and see what Yamiks thinks of Elite Dangerous now, and is it dead?
With Frontier stocks dropping harder than Odyssey got dropped by its developers, one of all-time best space sims, Elite Dangerous is not doing too well today. With the parent company in trouble,
Ash.
Player numbers being at a constant low, is there still a hope for the game? Well, surprisingly it might.
Well,
with the recent
good question, Chrono. And Yamik's opinion shouldn't matter, just teasing. Only mine. Let's be real. Only my opinion matters. But we're going to pretend like Yamik's opinion matters because he played Elite Dangerous for a very long time. In fact, Yamiks's main content was Elite Dangerous. Same thing as Obsidian Ant, the way they started. And then they had to kind of change it over because Elite Dangerous was dying. Of course it's dead. Of course it's dead. That's why they're making other content.
Argoid narrative sparking hope and renewal, it genuinely brought back some interest in one of the space sim greats. But whether the developers will follow up on this success, well, that we are here to find out. Want a cool looking t-shirt, a sticker, or even a mug? Well, check out my merch store. Link for that.
I won't do that. I will never do that. I will never shill like that. Not even my own stuff. Not like that.
Experience is still remaining the same. Like I mentioned in my Is It Worth It video, Elite core experience is still remaining the same good thing that it has been. Genuinely immersive and evocative, there is no doubt about that. However, that in turn also brings us to the question, rather than is Elite dying, but instead, how dead is it? Now let's be frank, the core experience is the key for Elite Dangerous to work as a fantastic sandbox for all the grown man-babies to play in. But much like any neighborhood sandbox, the more time moves on, the more dogshit and weeds you find in it, when you don't add new sand or repair the box itself. For years and years, Elite has survived on the basic gameplay that was introduced in 2014, and it's a testament of how good the mechanics were. But without a meaningful quality of life and rebalancing, it only highlights one simple word: stagnation. And this
it's stagnation to the 10th power. The game has been stagnant for a very long time.
is the downfall of Elite in full, and no amount of new features to the stinky dog toilet that once was a decent sandbox will fix it. But before we delve into that, what even is game dev? How do you quantify it? I mean, everyone has their own perspective on this, right? How do you check the pulse of a game to determine, yes, this piece of shit horse is dead, time to smack it? Well, if you wanted more big updates akin to expansions like Odyssey or Horizons, well, I'm sorry to say that this is it. After the mega failure, rivaling Goatsy, Odyssey is the last sad whimpering fart of a noise that Elite produced. If you wanted updates, then, well, you better be on PC, and even then, you better like the Odyssey UI and Planet Tech.
They've also gone in multiple different directions at once. Frontier development has gone in so many different directions with this. They've ruined it. There's no focus. There's no leadership there. You can tell, you can tell that there's no leadership there.
Because old Horizons version and console version especially are functionally in a vegetative state. The game is, well, dead for these folks. But hey, if you just wanted a game to simply function and nothing more, well, good for you. Do not have many standards. The game will be available for a good few years for sure, if not a decade, if you send Frontier more of your money in form of microtransactions. Overall, it's normal for games to functionally die in time, even the best of live service games. Unless of course there's money rolling in, the game will die and wither. Well, except for TF2, and even then it has dedicated servers and offline modes and all that good stuff. But still, it's just a testament of how good the game is, that it's still alive. Now let's face it, Elite is celebrating 9 years this year. Most live service games barely manage 2 or hell 4 of them, if they're lucky. So one way or other, Elite is bound to settle down in the coffin sooner or later. Still, it's rare to see how one massive misstep can ruin very decent, if not good, premise. After Odyssey was dumped like a carcass of a dead hooker onto a porch of its family just to meet Frontier Development's physical end-of-year spreadsheets, rather than being delayed more to finish development properly, it only got worse.
Yeah, and like Ash says, ED is not Frontier's main project. They focus heavily on their franchises like Jurassic Park and Formula One, right? FDev simply don't care about ED because it's not what fills their bank account, and it shows, right? They're not bringing in the revenue like they used to. They split their focus. They don't have the amount of members that they need to keep the focus the way that it used to be because they've split their focus. They didn't plan it. This is a real-life breakdown in the office space. This is a real-life breakdown of the dev, of the dev, by the devs, for the devs. They lost focus. They split their focus in 3 different avenues. You could tell it from the very start as they started to split their focus. Elite Dangerous used to be their moneymaker. It isn't anymore, and therefore the attention is gone, and so are the people, and it's just very badly run. Why I like, and I'm not comparing them right now, I'm just talking about game development. Why I like Cloud Imperium, why I like Star Citizen and the project is they're very transparent. They're continually putting out content, showing you where they're at. You can see that a lot of devs are passionate about the game. You can see that a lot of devs are playing the game. It feels alive. It looks alive. Yes, it's buggy as hell, but you know they're working on it. At least they put that content out there, and that's the difference. Now, I was giving them props a little over a year and a half ago, when the devs started at Frontier Devs started putting content on the channel, but the streams were so haphazard with no direction and no focus that I just started saying, what's the point of them putting out any of the content like this? Because it makes them look inept. It makes them look like they have no idea what they are doing at all. And then they stop making the content. And so it's very important in this day and age, if you're a game dev, if you're making a project of love from passion, that you put it out there, that you show it, that it's transparent, that people can see it, that people can feel that vibe. it's where it's going, where it has to go, especially with games that are funded publicly on Kickstarter, these platforms where devs can actually raise money for the game that they're making. We know a lot of devs here in the channel, like Todd Darcy, Falling Frontier, the gentleman who's making Manor Lords. These devs that are literally doing this because they love what it is that they do, creating games, creating good times for people. Games have to have fun first. This is why the metaverse went into the toilet, and because everything was about crypto. Like every game out there right now, we've been watching a lot of Web3 content. We've been watching Star Atlas content. I'm rooting for the space, but the problem with the space is that they don't focus on the fun first. It's always tokenomics, 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 tokenomics. Oh, game, tokenomics, tokenomics, tokenomics. It's always about the crypto. That's the problem in the Web3 space. That's the problem in the metaverse space, right? That's what's going on in that space. No fun. The game that's going to make it in that space is going to be a game that focuses on the game first and is fun to play, that has it as an additional thing, right? Some people aren't even going to want to hook into it. Good. Games should be fun. The reason why this is even more dead than I thought it was, now that I'm watching this, is because it doesn't even involve any new tech whatsoever. In fact, it's old dated tech. You can see it in everything. You can see it in the textures. You can see it in the environment. This game is dead. The engine's dated. Everything about this game is dead. And I will say this. This is a failure, a massive failure on Frontier Development's part. They've split their focus in too many different directions, and you can see it and you can smell it. And it's dead.
And yes, if you didn't know, Odyssey was released at the end of May when Frontier concludes its fiscal end of year, and this is a fact. Combine this with the management decision to release a very unfinished product with a development team who stagnates harder than the boomer logic, one's great idea of space legs and depth it would give to the whole game was thoroughly fucked. And instead of struggling to compete with Star Citizen on a level playing field in terms of features, Elite Dangerous was struggling to rub two brain cells together. After the horrific release and backlash, at least you'd expect a greedy company led by the fucking idiots to still commit to developing Odyssey and release it on consoles for the last big paycheck, if nothing else. But I'm guessing the development team was either too inexperienced, incompetent, or otherwise purely unable to wrangle the Cobra engine that they simply could not release Odyssey on old-gen consoles, despite their idiotic management pushing hard, clearly, for that last paycheck. And so, about 9 months later after the release, the difficult decision was made to cut the consoles off like a bad tumor. And though I play up...
They got everybody excited on consoles. They brought all the consoles in, right? They cut off the VR support. They've done so much to they really are literally taking the time to poop all over it. They've done everything that is impediment to the progress of this title. They cut the VR support. They wanted to put it on console. They put it on the console. They backdated it. They basically cut it off from the PC once again after they tied it together. And it's like there's no direction, man. There's literally no direction here. They're walking around in circles, closing their eyes.
Up the whole PC Master Race thing and the consolite is bad, blah blah blah. I absolutely hate to see that, we all are gamers and some of us just simply get shafted because, hey, the company could not give a fuck. It genuinely is a shit situation. And on consoles, the game is basically now in vegetative state, similarly to what Legacy Mode is on PC. No real updates, just maintenance, with a separate game save. So for these players, unless you're willing to transfer to PC and play the Odyssey-looking version, with far inferior-looking planet tech, the game might as well be dead, and that's such a shame. But that was about a year ago. How have things changed now? Well, if you paid attention to Frontier as a company, you might have noticed... Now, I'm not a financier. But at the time of Odyssey release, the share value of Frontier was on a great, genuine rise. Much like it was with Horizon's release and later the Planet Coaster release. With F1 management game in the wings, it was gearing up to be very good time for Frontier. And
to be fair, though, everything's in the shitter in the stock market. Just like it's not just Frontier Development. You got every name in the stock market down like 20, 30, 40% right now from its all-time highs, dude. Like the entire stock market's taking a shit. All right. It's going to probably continue to do so for a bit.
And Odyssey flopped very hard and got reflected in stocks. Now, I might be conflating these two events because, well, hey, pandemic also started around that time. Still, the last big hope was the F1 management
I'm not doing
game.
that, Corona.
But that, after releasing
I
to
don't want
critically
that
mediocre
stress, dude.
reviews, and the most baffling announcement made just 2 months after, saying that Frontier will stop the support for the game. Again, all that got reflected in downturn in stock price.
Wow.
Jesus Christ,
They're going
ending
down.
support after 2 months. What are you thinking? Oh no, wait, like the regurgitated sports game garbage, this was supposed to be a yearly release. Or is it? Well, looking at the stock drop, I sense that F1 might have not liked the handling of Frontier's own IPs either. So that leads us to about today, and after apparent economic wibbly-wobbly British bullshit, the whole company got devalued hard, about 40%. Sure, it could be, as some pundits say, economic stuff in Britland, but I'm more inclined to think that this massive drop was related
that's
to the
more than
lackluster
usual.
and downright baffling,
That's more than usual for a drop.
handling of every IP that Frontier has. Elite Odyssey,
They're just making bad
massive
decisions.
fuck up. Jurassic World 2, sales underperforming.
Isn't David
F1
Robin gone
management,
now, too?
Support ended after 2 months. What the fuck? Lemnis Gate just recently killed. And rest of the published games, mediocre at best. Well, years before all of this,
Everything looks so basic, man. Like everything in the engine's providing right now for looks and graphics looks so freaking dated, you know?
the company was in a great upswing, so you can see how people
Right,
have
Aether?
lost hope in the company.
He's just an
But,
advisor now,
hey,
right, DEF
I
CON? Yeah.
might just be a wacky horse-faced Latvian who knows nothing.
What's
And
with the
speaking of
horse
game
mask?
dev, recently Frontier's publishing side, who took up under its wing a few games to publish, announced that Lemnis Gate, a unique FPS shooter, the second game they published, in fact, is not just closing down but outright being killed. See, the game relies on servers to be playable, and Frontier, along with the Ratloop Games who developed this game, are closing the
Shame.
servers, making the game
Shame.
unplayable after 11th June
Shame.
2023.
Bad decisions all the way around. Bad decisions all the way around.
Now, at the time of writing, I'm investigating the story, but the developers who relegate their PR to Frontier to handle
Shamed.
have not announced
Shamed,
any
fucks.
kind of SDK mods or patches to allow the game to be functioning after the
That's
closing
right.
date, literally and deliberately killing the game. And let's not forget, Elite Dangerous is in the very same boat. Just that it has more players, and apparently an end-of-life
sad, dude.
plan
It is
promised from the days of Kickstarter. Or is it? So then, according
I've
to
been
this
warning about this
end-of-life
since, like,
promise from days of
2017,
old,
man.
Mr.
I
Braben
smelled
and
it
his
back
company
then.
stated in Elite Dangerous newsletter number 50 this. Could the server code be publicly released someday when the servers are shut down? Yes,
Yeah.
this is something
We
we
had a
would do
huge
if
influx
for
of
whatever
commanders
reason we cannot keep the
When
game
Odyssey
going.
failed.
Now, seeing Lemnis Gate being killed outright, F1 being, well, whatever
I
the
did
fuck
too,
it
dude.
is,
I
I'm
did too,
starting
DEF
to
CON.
question whether or not Frontier will
It's
ever
sad.
uphold
It
their
is
word
sad.
when it comes to officially killing the servers for Elite. Now, let's be frank, it's also a lucrative IP and tech. Plus, this is a promise, not a hint nor some kind of insinuation, but a full-on promise that was made back when offline was also still promised too. So, despite all of this, I can't but to expect these Brits to weasel out of this and kill Elite, just like they didn't help Lemnis Gate not to get killed. Or wait, as publishers,
I've been saying
did
this for years
they
about this
order
title.
the death of Lemnis Gate? Well, I'm still investigating. For now, though, that's too grim to
Dude,
think
yeah.
about, right? And like most fanboy space dads will say, what the fuck are you talking about, you idiot? The game is still playable and fun. How could you say that it's dead or dying, you idiot? Targoid story is really cool. And those are updates.
Listen, the Thargoid story sucks, man. It was fun for a little bit as a flash in the pan, but get rid of the Thargoids already, man.
It's true.
It's just-
Even some other improvements got released alongside you stupid
They totally
fuck.
do.
And
They totally
yes,
do,
that's true.
DEF
Targoid stuff brought a notable
giant
interest
flower
back into the game
aliens.
after the launch. It genuinely was a small spark of positive, well
Yeah,
done
a flash
work.
in the pan.
But that's only
Flash
if you care
in the
about the
pan.
Targoids. But as for the other thing, improvements, well, I recently investigated.
You know, when the carriers came out, that was such a big deal, but they're literally parking garages. You can't destroy them. You can't go into battle. There's no danger. Again, the decisions made by the devs are all wrong. If you have a carrier, no matter how hard you grind for it, it should still be vulnerable. There should still be an element of danger in Elite Dangerous. They completely went the other way. They did a U-turn away from danger. Anytime there's a decision to put stuff in there that's destructible, like ships that you own, they'll do whatever they can to make sure that everybody's nice and safe and buckled up and nobody's having like chaotic situations in a game that's literally meant to be chaotic. Hence Elite Dangerous. You know, I'm pretty sure like the impetus of this was like, hey, we're going to make a space game that's going to be fun and dangerous. You know, like, and you can be elite in it, but the focus was dangerous. And it just kept shifting and kept shifting and kept shifting into elite. Now they can't even make decisions correctly. They're going in multiple different directions.
And Odyssey performance, objectively.
It's more than dead.
Yes, the improvements have been made.
Dead.
But after
yes,
2
years,
years, Odyssey still...
I cannot watch any more of this. It's dead. Like, it is dead, people. It is dead. I am sorry to say this. In fact, like many people here talking in chat right now, our fans, I am right there with them. I am very sad. I was a commander. I was teaching people PvP. I had a blast. Some of the best times of my gaming life were in this game. Okay? So don't make this an Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen thing. I am a gamer. First and foremost, I like great experiences, fun experiences that keep drawing me back to that experience. Devs that focus on that fun are going to make it. Devs that don't focus on that fun are going to sink. And here's we saw, this is sunk. It's dead. It's dead. I'm announcing officially once again for the, how many times have I said Elite Dangerous is dead? Now people are just starting to wake up. Like, it's dead. And I'm sad about it. And I'm mad about it. I'm actually more mad about it than I am sad about it. Because this could have all been prevented. All of this could be prevented. I'm enough, Pepe. Get us to the next one. I'm really upset.